Hi everyone, and welcome to Skincare and Beyond, your go-to beauty podcast that goes deeper than skin deep. Today I'm really excited because I'm going to be talking to the lovely Hannah. Welcome, Hannah. And we're going to be delving into probably one of the most powerful and talked about ingredients in skincare, and that's vitamin A. So Hannah, let's get straight into it. Tell us a little bit about you first of all, and how did you get into skincare?
Absolutely. So I've been with Medik8 for 8 years now. I'm currently head of product, but it took me a little while to get here. I have always been obsessed with beauty and skincare since I was a teenager. I was obsessed with beauty YouTubers, buying all the latest skincare, makeup products. And I used to have a beauty blog back in the day that I used to write little reviews of my favourite skincare and makeup on there. But I was also quite academic as well. So I ended up going to university to study chemistry. And while I was studying chemistry, I kind of got quite excited and interested in how my favourite products were actually being made. What was the science actually going into them and how were they actually working with the skin? So I ended up post my chemistry degree moving into a few internships in the beauty industry because I knew I wanted to stay within beauty, but one of those internships was actually at Glossybox, which was an interesting one because it actually introduced me to a Medik8 product, which was in a Glossybox at the time. I ended up kind of falling in love with the brand and finding out that their headquarters was actually very, very close to me. So I actually started a job at Medik8 when I was very young. I think I was 21, 22. And I started as a technical copywriter. So it was my job to translate the science of the brand and the science of the products to the consumer and be able to talk in a scientific way that the consumer actually understands. I'm talking about active ingredients, the benefits of the product, and really understanding and helping the consumer and also our professional network to understand how the products actually work. And ever since then, I've been kind of working my way around the research and development team at Medik8, and I've ended up as head of product. So I moved into more of a product development role. And I currently lead a team which is 9 people now. And we are a combination of marketeers, scientists, innovators who work together to bring the most innovative, technically driven, scientific and consumer driven products onto the market. So that's kind of my day to day at the moment.
Okay. So it sounds as though you've loved beauty and skincare from being very, very little.
Yes.
And then you went and did the chemistry degree. Mm-hmm. So did you know that you always wanted to be involved in product development, or was it just the beauty industry particularly?
At the beginning, I was very interested in becoming a formulator, actually, which I haven't ended up falling into. I'm in and out of the lab these days, but I'm not a hands-on formulator. We do have expert formulation teams at Medik8, which I work in very close collaboration with in-house at our innovation centre. But I ended up getting more and more interested in terms of the active ingredient choices and how the skincare products actually worked in the skin. So really understanding the science behind, for example, how is vitamin A working in the skin? How can we activate it even more to deliver even better benefits? How can we stabilise it in different ways? And how can we look at different ways that we can innovate with products to actually be able to develop them in the best way possible for the consumer.
Okay, brilliant. And literally it was seeing a Medik8 product in a box that made you decide that you wanted to go and have a career with Medik8?
It was using the product. I kind of fell in love very quickly. I think it was one of our, I don't think we still sell it, but it was one of our older hyaluronic acid serums. And after doing a little bit of research into the brand and really understanding the ethos of the brand, which is very science-driven, very integrity-driven, making sure that everything we do is scientific and research-backed, that's what really let me fall in love with the brand ultimately.
Yeah, I find that fascinating. It just sometimes it's fate, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird how I fell into that, but I'm very, very glad I did.
Yeah. So you've just said about some of the things that are really unique about Medik8. Yeah. I said earlier that our customers love the brand, but I'm sure that there will be some listeners that may have never come into contact with Medik8. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us what Medik8 is all about and what sets it apart from other beauty brands within the industry?
Absolutely. So Medik8 is a British dermatological skincare brand, and our ethos and mission is to deliver age-defying skincare and results without compromise. So ultimately, We dedicate our brand to a very simple philosophy. And our simple philosophy is called CSA. That stands for vitamin C and sunscreen in the morning and vitamin A at night. And that's what we believe 90% of your age-defying skincare is delivered by, these specific active ingredients. So vitamin C, sunscreen and vitamin A. We dedicate our entire brand around the CSA philosophy, and we create products around CSA and side products as well to really deliver very simple but effective results for our customers without any compromises. So we really put emphasis on making sure that everything we put onto the market has beautiful textures, feels great on the skin, it's really easy to use, isn't going to cause any irritation. And make sure that the experience is just as important as the results that the customer is getting. We're also a B Corp brand as well. So we're very sustainability driven. We make sure that everything we're doing is considered in terms of sustainability and ethos. And we're also professional led as well. So when we very first started in 2009, Medik8 was a professional only brand, and we sold into beauty clinics and dermatologists' offices and clinicians. Since then, we've very much expanded, but we stay true to our roots. And ultimately, our mission is to get that kind of professional led dermatologist recommended skincare out into the marketplace.
Yeah. Wow. So I was going to ask you about the CSA philosophy. How does that actually impact in practice the types of products and the way in which you develop products?
It gives us a way to kind of anchor the regimes that we recommend to our customers. So what we say is when you come into Medik8 and maybe you don't know anything about Medik8, don't know where to even start, we say pick your CSA. That's all you need as a basic skincare regime. So go in, pick a vitamin C for your morning regime, pick a sunscreen that you like, and then pick a vitamin A for your evening regime. Then we say, if you want to go a little bit further, you want to take it a step ahead of that, you can then start adding in other ingredients into your skincare regime to start tailoring it a little bit more to maybe some skin concerns or skin needs that you might have. So you might want to look at peptides or hyaluronic acid or other actives which can help to tailor your skincare regime to whatever your skin goal is. And we pride ourselves in being experts in formulation and experts in delivery of actives. So a lot of our product development and research and development centres around vitamin C, sunscreen and vitamin A. But we also work a lot in other active ingredients that we believe in as well. So things such as peptides and being able to deliver active ingredients in the best way possible. Okay. We look a lot at stability. We're very much stability experts in the market, particularly with vitamin A, and make sure that everything we're putting on the market is efficacious as it can be, is as beautifully formulated as possible so you get a great experience from it, but also being extremely stable as well. So you can really trust that your skincare is delivering the results that you know it will.
Perfect. So I read, and you'll have to correct me whether if I'm not right, that you've been involved in the development of over 50 products at Medik8.
Yes.
And the key Crystal Retinal range.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
How does it feel to be part of developing a product that literally sells by the thousands?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, Crystal Retinal is the heart and soul of Medik8. It's the baby of Medik8. And we've been through so many different iterations of Medik8 Crystal Retinal, actually. When I first started, we were just launching the first two strengths. We launched Crystal Retinal 6 and 10 when we first started. It went so well that we then launched slightly lower strengths as well. For our Crystal Retinal ladder, we launched 1 and 3. And then more recently, we've launched higher strengths of the Crystal Retinal best-selling franchise as well. So it's incredible to see how well it's taken off. We were one of the brands who brought Retinal or retinaldehyde into the skincare community.
That,
so we're very, very, very proud of how well it's gone. And we're so happy that, you know, other brands are kind of understanding the Retinal message now. You see a lot more Retinals on the market than you might have done in sort of 2018 when Crystal Retinal first started. And that's because people are understanding how powerful it is, really. Yes. So we're really, really excited that it's really starting to get into consumer attention and people are really understanding how powerful it is for the skin.
Yeah. Brilliant. I guess that leads into some of the things that we've been doing here at Face the Future. So our full year campaign this year is called Beauty Beyond Time, and Medik8 has kindly been one of our brand sponsors of our headline theme. And that's all about helping people feel beautiful in their skin no matter what stage of their life that they are. So what does powerful aging mean to Medik8?
That's such a good question. I think it's so important that we feel comfortable and happy in the skin that we're in, whatever age we are ultimately. And I think it comes back a lot to the CSA philosophy. The CSA philosophy can be used by anyone at any age ultimately. It's not, while it can be great for age-defying skincare results, it can also be used when you're younger, in your sort of early 20s, to help build skin resilience and really build your skin health, to help protect against changes to your skin as you get older. But also it can be used even older years as well to be able to help your skin get that beautiful glow and get that healthy looking skin. Ultimately with CSA, you're giving your skin the fundamentals it needs to perform the best it can. And I think that really comes back to skin health and skin resilience, and being able to look your very best at whatever age you are ultimately.
Absolutely. Well, we're all for that, aren't we? Trying to make ourselves feel more comfortable and be more confident in our skin. And we know that skincare plays a huge role in that. Mm-hmm. But let's really delve into vitamin A now, because you and I have talked about, retinol. There's so much on the market, and some of our listeners will be aware of that. Some will be thinking, what are they talking about? So let's talk about the Crystal Retinal range, which is obviously one of the cornerstones of your range. Many of our customers absolutely love it. And there is the step up process. We can talk about that. But just talk to me why vitamin A is so important in a skincare routine.
Vitamin A is the gold standard active ingredient in skincare. It's one of the most well-researched, well-proven ingredients that can actually physically change your skin and change the way your skin works. We recommend it to pretty much everyone. It can be incredible for helping to smooth the texture of the skin, helping to reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, helping to improve clarity, helping your skin to look more even and brighter and more healthy. And it can really ultimately reprogram how your skin cells are actually functioning. And it can be beneficial for so many different types of skin concerns or skin goals. So you can use vitamin A if you're looking to reduce the signs of aging on your skin. You can also use vitamin A to help improve skin health and skin glow. You can also use it on blemish-prone, congested skins. It can be used in so many different ways, and hence why we typically recommend it for pretty much everyone. The only kind of subset of people who maybe wouldn't be using vitamin A would be people who are maybe pregnant or nursing. Okay. And there are alternatives on the market for people to get similar results as vitamin A. Yeah. But it's one we champion as, if you're using one active ingredient in your skincare regime, let it be vitamin A. Okay. Of course, in addition to sunscreen, as your baseline.
Absolutely. So you talked there about some of the benefits of vitamin A, and often we do talk about vitamin A in relation to the fine lines and the wrinkles and the effects that it has on that. For our customers that are really interested in the science behind vitamin A, how does it work on the skin? How does it have such an amazing effect?
That's a really good question. So there are lots of different forms of vitamin A, but for the majority of them, when that form of vitamin A goes onto the skin, it needs to be converted into an active form called retinoic acid. And retinoic acid is a molecule which can actually unlock really interesting benefits in your skin cells. It basically goes up to skin cell receptors and tells them to make specific genes, which can change the way your skin cells actually behave. So for example, in a collagen producing cell, a fibroblast, it can actually tell your skin cells to make more collagen. And that leads to smoother fine lines and wrinkles, smoother texture, more plump, firmer skin. Vitamin A can also tell your skin cells to renew themselves quicker. So our skin cells renew themselves over a period of a few months. But what vitamin A can tell it to do is renew them a little bit quicker. And that means that you get more exfoliation of your skin and a smoother skin surface as well. And it can also help with things such as even skin tone, brightness, glow. Vitamin A can also tell your skin cells, the cells which make melanin in your skin, how and when to make melanin. And that can be really beneficial because things such as dark spots you could get after a blemish, for example, it can help to minimize that. It can also help to even the skin tone and also brighten the skin tone as well. So it can do a wealth of different things. There's lots of different ways in which it can kind of manipulate how your skin cells are actually performing to make them perform better.
Brilliant. You've just mentioned, as we've been talking, retinoic acid.
Yes.
It can be really confusing. Are you able to talk us through the different types of vitamin A and why they're different?
Absolutely, yeah. It can be a minefield, completely minefield. It can be so confusing when you first start getting into vitamin A because there's so many different types on the market. Let's start with the one that probably most people are familiar with, which is called retinol.
Yes.
So I say retinol specifically because it has
OL.
at the end. Very
yes.
nice. Retinol is our kind of traditional form of vitamin A. It's the one that's been on the market for a very, very long time, has a wealth of clinical evidence and studies behind it. And it's definitely one that's majoritively used across the market.
Yes.
So it's quite easy to get in the drugstore, for example. Retinol is very beneficial for the skin. When you put retinol onto your skin in a skincare product, it has to go through a conversion to get to that molecule called retinoic acid, which we talked about, which is kind of the key to unlocking all of the great vitamin A benefits. So when retinol goes onto the skin, it has to convert a couple of times to actually get into that retinoic acid. So first of all, retinol goes into another molecule called retinal, so with an A, and then it gets converted into retinoic acid, which is where we unlock all of the great benefits of vitamin A. And that then kind of leads us to talking about retinal, which is that second one in between retinol and retinoic acid. That retinal molecule is actually available in skincare as well. And it's a newer form of vitamin A to the market. As I said, in 2018, we were one of the first brands to work with it. And being that one step closer to retinoic acid means that it's actually 11 times faster at working in the skin than retinol is. It makes retinal, or also known as retinaldehyde, it makes it that much more powerful on the skin. And it means that it can really have extremely beautiful benefits to the skin, which maybe retinol takes a little bit longer to get to. They're both able to do the same thing, but you're going to get there quicker with retinal. And the good thing about retinal is that it's also proven not to be any kind of more irritating or difficult to get into your skincare than retinol. So it's actually really quite easy to use. The other molecule that I talked about, retinoic acid, in the UK at least, is used within prescription skincare. So you might see that being prescribed by your dermatologist or your doctor, but you're probably not going to see it out in Boots, for example, or on Face of Future or on e-tailer websites. Retinaldehyde for us is our favourite form of vitamin A because it has the ability to convert into that active molecule very, very quickly. And that makes it very powerful on the skin. It's got lots of clinical data behind it. And we love formulating with it. And that's why we put it into our best-selling range, Crystal Retinal.
Yes. Oh, brilliant. So you said that you were one of the first brands to bring the retinal to the skincare market in 2018. That was probably quite a brave thing to do when the most common ingredient would have been the retinol. What was the thought process behind saying, no, we actually do want to use the retinol?
It's interesting because we have a range of retinol products as well. So retinol products, which I think we've done since the early 2010s. And we'd always been very successful with them. Always had really interesting innovations around them and how they enter into the skin. But retinol kept popping up onto our radar. We were working with a lot of scientists at the time, and in terms of like the literature and the journals and scientific studies which are coming out about retinaldehyde, we kind of couldn't ignore it at that stage. It was quite a leap for us to go straight into the retinal skincare market with nobody else really doing anything, because we really had to beat that drum of like retinal is amazing, it's so much better than retinol at that very first start, and kind of educate our customers to really believe in it, because we really believed in it as scientists. So over time, people started listening because the evidence is very compelling behind it. And I think we can see that now because there's lots of different brands on the market now with retinal who have kind of followed suit. But we were really pioneering that way, I think, in 2018, trying to drive the understanding that actually retinaldehyde is where you're going to get the best benefits from. So while we still have our retinol range for people who love and really want to keep using it, we put all of our focus and time and energy in educating around retinol in our Crystal Retinal range.
Brilliant. And in terms of the science behind that and clinical studies, is there any clinical research that you can share with our listeners in relation to how effective vitamin A is?
There is a wealth of studies out there. I would be here all day if I started listing them off. But there is so much evidence out there in terms of very well-respected journals in terms of the efficacy of the molecule, so retinol or retinal or retinoic acid. But what's really important to us as a brand is that while there's loads of evidence on the molecule, it's also important that we clinically test when we put the molecule into a formulation. So when it's actually put into a skincare product and it's tested on real skin. So we make sure that all of our best-selling products are clinically tested, particularly our Crystal Retinal range, where we'll clinically test in collaboration with dermatologists, Crystal Retinal on the subject skin, looking at changes in things like fine lines and wrinkles, skin texture, skin brightness, firmness, elasticity in the skin, and really scientifically measuring how the skin is changing when they're using vitamin A. And it's amazing to see over the course of long periods of time. So sort of like could be as early as sort of 4 weeks you're starting to see results, but also it can also translate into longer term results as well. So we've looked at clinical studies where we've looked at people using Crystal Retinal for 12 months and seen how their skin has changed over that period. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was going to ask you actually, in terms of, I know that everyone's skin's different, but generally, when somebody starts using a vitamin A product or starts using the Crystal Retinal range, how long does it take for someone to see visible results?
You might start seeing results from as little as 7 days using a Crystal Retinal or a vitamin A product. But the best results you're probably going to see is after using about 1 tube. So 12 weeks worth, we usually say 3 months. That's where you're going to start really seeing significant changes in your skin, but you will start to notice things a little bit earlier. So the 7-day, even 4-week mark. Over time, though, your skin can really start to change. So you can use it for as long as you want to without having to stop. Your skin's not going to get used to it. But what you can do with Crystal Retinal is you can move up the ladder. If you're because we do have a ladder of different strengths. So if you're starting to see a plateau in results, you can move up the ladder to push your skin a little bit harder and start giving it more vitamin A to make it work a little bit harder and get even more results.
Okay. And again, how would a consumer know when they can step up the ladder?
That's a really great question. So we have 6 different strengths in our Crystal Retinal ladder. And the reason we have different strengths is because we want to be able to offer a vitamin A for everyone. So some people will be a bit nervous around using vitamin A. Vitamin A, when you first start using it, it can cause a little bit of irritation. So it's really, really important that you are very cautious with how you go into it. So you start low and you go slow basically with vitamin A. Hence why we have low strengths on our ladder. So we start most people off at Crystal Retinal 3. That's most people's entry point. So if you've never used vitamin A before, you go in at Crystal Retinal 3. You use a tube of that and you phase it into your skincare regime. So we usually say use it twice a week for 2 weeks, every other night for 2 weeks, and then every night from there. And that should help your skin to build resilience and not cause any kind of retinization or irritation, which you can see from other vitamin A serums on the market. If you are maybe a little bit more experienced with vitamin A, you can go in at Crystal Retinal 6, which is slightly higher in strength because you've got a little bit of resilience already in your skin to vitamin A. But you can move up through the ladder. So then we have ladder strengths at Crystal Retinal 10, Crystal Retinal 20, and now Crystal Retinal 24 as well. So you can move up during the ladder as and when your skin, 1, is not experiencing any kind of irritation, but 2, you're starting to see a plateau in results. So you want to push your skin a little bit harder. If you are someone who's maybe quite nervous or who has very sensitive skin, we also have a strength for you. So we have Crystal Retinal 1, which is a great one to just start training your skin a little bit with vitamin A. But it's very, very low potential for irritation. So sensitive skins love it. It's great if you've maybe had a bad experience in the past and you just want to get back into vitamin A. It's a great one to just ease yourself into that world.
Brilliant. And is there a certain age in which you'd start recommending that people use vitamin A?
I think you can start vitamin A at any age. We recommend Crystal Retinal for anyone upwards of 18.
Okay.
But you're probably going to get the most results from it when you're above 30. That's starting to be when our natural collagen preserves are starting to decline. So you're probably going to see the most results from it. But that's not to say you can't use it in your 20s. It's a great one for building resilience and skin health and helping to prevent signs of aging that you might see later on. So any age, but definitely start thinking about it when you're around 30. But it's great to get in there a little bit early if you can.
Okay. And there's a couple of myths that I've come across when talking about vitamin A. The first one is that you shouldn't use it every night.
Yep, that's a great one.
So why do you think people think you shouldn't use it every night, and why is that a myth and not true?
I think it's probably due to bad experiences in the past, potentially. Okay. So as I mentioned, when you first start using vitamin A, it can cause some irritation. So it's really, really important that you are being very conscious with how you integrate it into your skincare regime. So like I said, we ask our customers to phase crystal retinal into their skincare regime. We also ask them to start on lower strengths of vitamin A to make sure that their skin builds resilience. But I think if you've in the past maybe gone straight into nightly use and straight into quite a high concentration of vitamin A, you might have experienced some redness, some irritation. So while you can use it for nightly use, you absolutely can. It's important that at the very start, you phase it in and you get your skin used to it. But as soon as your skin is used to it and you're not experiencing any kind of, sort of irritation, you can go on to nightly use basically forever.
There's also the myth that I heard when I started using a vitamin A was that it actually thins your skin. Is that true, or is that a myth as well?
That one is an interesting one.
Okay.
When you first start using vitamin A, we mentioned that it speeds up your skin cell renewal cycle. Yes. And what that means is that actually, when you very first start using vitamin A, it can make it do that quite quickly. And your skin can freak out a little bit. So when you first start using vitamin A, it can start to thin your skin a little bit. And that's why it's really important that you incorporate it slowly into your skincare regimes and make sure you're using sunscreen with it as well in the morning. But actually, over time, as your skin gets used to vitamin A and it starts to really reap the benefits, it starts to thicken your skin. Wow. It starts to increase the resilience of your upper layers of the skin. It starts to build layers of collagen and firmness and elastin in your skin. So ultimately, it can actually thicken the skin and increase your skin health and resilience over time. So it's kind of like a yes and no answer.
Yes, I always thought it was a myth. But actually it isn't. And I didn't know that it thickened the skin either. I just thought it helped with, as you say, all the things that you've talked about in terms of fine lines and wrinkles and smoother skin and brightness and all of those things. So yeah, I've learned. That's brilliant. Really interesting. So we have, and I've got a couple of quotes from some customers here that use the crystal retinol, and these are real reviews, and just showing the power that this vitamin has. So we've got Pamela who said, I've been using this for some time now, gradually increasing in strength, which is great. My skin is so much smoother and fine lines have reduced. It's a great product for aging skin.
Oh, lovely.
And then we've got Bree who says, I'm obsessed with Medik8 products, but this one has to be up there as my fave. I normally get Botox on my forehead every 6 months, but since using this, I've gone down to 12 months instead.
Wow.
It really does help with those fine lines and wrinkles.
Oh,
so actually, not only is it great for your skin, it also could be more cost effective by not having to go and get your injectables, which is great. You mentioned when you were talking about the ethos at Medik8, and you were talking about making sure products are stable and how different it is from a product like a Retinal just being used and then it being used in a formulation. So I know that you are really keen on ensuring that it's stable and that encapsulation is really important. Can you just talk me through what that encapsulation means and why it is so important?
Absolutely, yeah. So crystal retinal, the crystal part of that name is actually referring to the encapsulation system that we use in our formulation. So it's a encapsulation which basically blankets our retinaldehyde molecule in the formula, and that does two different things. One of them is stability, as you quite rightly mentioned. And stability is really, really important to consider when you're buying a retinaldehyde product, because retinal is one of the most unstable molecules in skincare. It will degrade at a breath of air.
Yes.
And we don't want that, because when it degrades, it loses its power. So it's really important to us to make sure that we are maintaining the stability of our retinal. So that kind of blanket encapsulation helps to stabilize it, because it blocks things like air, oxygen molecules, light from getting into the retinal. But what it also does is it acts as a form of time release for us, and that helps to minimize any irritation potential from the vitamin A. So when we put that encapsulated, blanketed molecule onto the skin, that encapsulation slowly breaks down, releases the retinaldehyde in a slow, consistent stream versus all at once.
Yes.
And what that means is that your skin has a much slower delivery of the retinal, and therefore we reduce any kind of irritation potential. So that encapsulation system helps us not only to make our crystal retinal formulations very, very gentle, but it also helps us to ensure their stability as well.
That's really interesting. I thought it was all about stability, but obviously it's about how it's delivered to the skin as well, which is really, really important. So, Hannah, you will remember that in advance of the podcast, I asked you what question you wanted to ask our listeners.
Yes.
Can you remember what that question was?
I think I can. I think I asked, what benefits have you seen from vitamin A on your skin?
Yeah, what changes and what benefits. So we've got lots and lots of feedback.
Nice.
And what I've done is had a look at trying to, I guess, group them, because lots of people would say the same things. So we've had lots of feedback around reduced lines, wrinkles and smoother skin. People saying even the horizontal lines on my neck look softer. Forehead wrinkles and frown lines between my eyes have improved. My skin is smoother and fine lines are kept at bay. Loads of feedback around skin brightness. Even customers saying that the skin damage that I had on my cheekbones has improved drastically. And also people saying my skin is just more glowy, which is fabulous. And the next lot of feedback sort of links into the reduced lines and wrinkles and the brightness, in that they're saying my skin just is more plump and radiant, which is fabulous. Who doesn't want radiant skin? I guess one of the things that I found fascinating that I hadn't expected in terms of the feedback. So they talked about skin texture, which I absolutely get. But actually we also had customers saying to us that the blackheads on their nose have reduced. The texture of the pores have changed, and that actually their whole face feels different. So is there anything that surprises you there?
No, I'll be honest. I think they're all really interesting benefits you can get from retinal. It's a very wide-reaching active ingredient. Retinaldehyde is really interesting, actually, because it's one of the only directly antibacterial forms of vitamin A, and that makes it great for blemish-prone, congestion-prone skin. So that doesn't surprise me that it's really helping with pores, blackheads, any kind of blemishes you're experiencing, because it can really, really help in those instances as well. And that might be why certain people, maybe who are slightly younger, might want to get onto vitamin A earlier to help with even clarity, bright and really clear skin as well.
Brilliant. Was there anything that you expected might have been seen as a result that nobody has commented on?
Oh, I think you mentioned texture, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
I think that's always one that you can really feel. I think that's probably one of the first signs that most people see from their vitamin A. Well, you might not necessarily be able to see it, but the smoothness of your skin and how soft it actually is quite a significant benefit as well.
Yes. We were talking before the podcast that I've only been involved in the industry for 5 years, and I'd never used a vitamin A before I came into the industry. I just didn't know it was the cleanse, tone, moisturise thing when I was young, and that's just what I continued doing. And I remember starting to use vitamin A and feeling really rough one morning and thinking, I'm going to look absolutely dreadful. And I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh my goodness, my skin looks better than it actually should and better than I feel. And I put that down to the vitamin A, because if you're using it religiously, it does have all those additional benefits for your skin looking healthy, even though sometimes you may not have been that healthy the night before. But anyway, Hannah, thank you so much for joining us. I've learnt so much and I've found it a really, really interesting conversation. I just want to thank our listeners for listening. If you want to know more about Medik8, please do visit our website. Of course, do subscribe to our YouTube channel and please like or follow us in your chosen platform. And thank you once again for listening. Take care and see you next time at More Skincare and Beyond.